Welcome back, everybody. And today we're going to talk about another national crisis for hitters, for hitting online. And yesterday we talked about what it meant to hit downhill, the myth of how people misunderstood hitting downhill and how they got it wrong. Now we're going to talk about uphill, just the opposite. Now, this is not the golden age of hitting, folks. This has been lately the golden age of strikeouts. There's been more strikeouts than I would have thought possible. But there's been a lot of people talking about swinging up. And there's one in particular, and Aaron Judge is an example, who's a fine hitter. Aaron Judge is an outstanding hitter. And what's being said about him is not true. What's being said about him is that he swings up and he does whatever teacher man says, and that he does this off the back leg. Understand? Now, listen, I understand what he's saying. I get it, because I can do that. I don't have to stand in one place and do that. I can do that and go out 3 and 4 feet and hit a ball and buy time and be able to still do that. Be able to still pivot off the back hip and rotate around a single axis and have that same component and the same action. The problem is that if you're thinking up, even if you're thinking high finish like this, what happens is, can you crack a whip up? You can't, okay? Listen, that's why baseball players keep the barrel above their hands, and I'm not going to talk about getting the barrel into the zone on time today. That'll be tomorrow's. But the barrel's above the hands, and you get the barrel in the zone on time. And how does that happen? Well, I'll talk to you about that tomorrow. But the point is that there's been too many strikeouts because players are standing, waiting back. They're standing back, waiting back, and literally, I'm seeing coaches that are teaching staying on their back leg and literally rotating and swinging up like this, straight up in the air. And literally, the demonstration, I know when people demonstrate, they're exaggerating, and the exaggeration is meant to just make a point. All adjustments are made by exaggeration, so I'm not taking that point away. Obviously, I understand that, with the best of them, because I was a major league player. I actually did it. I understood how to hit. I was an all-star and a Silver Slugger Award winner and played 10 years in the big leagues. And I figured it out. I understood how to do it. And after examining thousands of at-bats with Aaron Judge, when he stays back, if he lets the ball get right to him, to the right spot, you can do that. You can take a swing, and you can take a swing that comes out of the plane and intersects the plane in one spot. You can do that. You could be in plane. But what I've seen him do, what people don't understand, is that Aaron Judge takes a relatively flat swing sometimes when he has to go out and buy time. People don't realize that a lot of his home runs, they weren't way back in his stance. They were out front, where he went out and got it. And in order to do that, you don't swing uphill like that. You can't, look, if you're presetting your angle and you're swinging up like this, how are you going to go out and hit a ball out front? You're not. That's why the strongest angle around you is flat. And you, as far as your job as a hitter is to think flat. And even though your angles are going to make it so that you're at a 6-degree positive angle, your swing plane will end up being there because you're leaning over, and as you're leaning over and rotating, something has to occupy this spot that's lower, so your back shoulder is going to be lower, and that gives you your 6 degrees. But you can't start telling these young players to start swinging up and finishing, literally doing this. I'm seeing teacher man say this, swinging straight up like that. If the ball gets right on you, you could actually make contact. But if it's an inch farther out front, I go into batting cages all the time, and I'll be walking through the cage, and there'll be a young player, and he has a hitting tee sitting right next to him, and he's hitting the ball up the middle. And one of the coaches will say, "Hey, Nokesy, what do you see?" And I'll say, "Well, put the tee out front a little bit." And I remember one time one of the kids goes, "I can't hit that." And I go, "Okay." So then I moved it another foot, so it was a couple feet even more. And you go, "I can't hit that." So I moved it another foot, so it was 3 feet out there. He's like, "What are you talking about?" And I stood there. I literally just stood there, and I reached out and I leaned out and I just leaned to the ball and hit it. That's what you mean by going out and getting a ball. There has to be a flat component. Flat simply means aligned with your shoulders and aligned with your core motor. It doesn't mean that you're necessarily going to be flat to the ground at the finish. But you cannot, because if I'm angled like this, if I'm angled, okay, if I'm swinging along this plane here, because this is how my arms move, right? If I'm swinging along this angle, and I end up, well, sure, as long as my swing is under my shoulder line, that's flat, okay? It's flat to my levers. It's flat to the way the levers work, all right? So what happens is young players, I don't know what to call it. I don't know what to call it a myth. I don't know what to call it a half-truth. I don't know what to call it a late-night epiphany that just went wrong. But this idea of swinging straight up and giving these young players this idea that you end up with your fist pointing straight up in the air, I mean, I understand exaggeration, but you better say you're exaggerating. And it's not even being said, okay? When you exaggerate, you better say you're being exaggerated, or that you're exaggerating. Listen, there's a Major League plan. And if you're willing to do whatever it takes to become a great player, to reach your dreams, you got to get the Major League plan. Everything else is amateur hour. And listen, guys, if you're swinging straight up like that, you're not going to have a chance to go out and get a ball that's 6 inches further out front. If you're swinging up like this, look, the ball's coming downhill, right? 3 feet for 60 feet, okay? So if you dropped the ball from 3 feet, it would hit the ground because of gravity, independent of horizontal velocity. It would hit the ground in about 0.4 seconds, okay? So it's about a foot to 18 inches. It drops about an inch. It's basically flat. That's why when the swing is 6 degrees, the swing angle, the swing plane is 6 degrees. That's basically flat, folks, okay? As far as we're concerned. It's not this, okay? It's not that. If I catch a ball right here, right there, if I hit it right there, okay, I can get it. But what if I have to hit it out here? Am I going to go like that? Am I going to hit it? I mean, how am I going to hit a ball? Okay, what if it's this high? What if it's that high? And I'm already swinging up here. There's no way I can hit it. That's why I've seen Aaron Judge make the adjustment. He doesn't do that. When he lets the ball get on him, he takes a swing off his backside. Granted, he does a great job at it. He's an incredible hitter. But when I've seen too many home runs that he has hit, that he's gone out and gets a ball, and it's a flat swing. Folks, if you want to learn how to hit, you got to get the Major League plan. And you might think that you can't be helped. You might be wondering if you've gone too far down the road. Trust me, you can be helped. Want to get the Major League plan? Because you need to go to somebody who knows what they're talking about. Everything else is amateur hour. You guys have a good day. This is Matt Nokes.